If you're watching this video, I am sure it is because you want to write an incredible resume that will allow you to stand out from your competition on your job search. In today's video, we'll cover what is the best resume template, what should be the best layout and design, and which sections are mandatory and what should you include on them. The goal of your resume is to show that you're the best person for the job. So let's make sure that you get that message across. Hey guys, Emilia here from emipowered, bringing you today the best tips and tools in how to win at life and level up your career. And hey, if you're new here, subscribe. As I mentioned on my last video, a resume is a one-page document, straight to the point, created for the purpose of applying for a specific job. Your resume is highly important, and it can guarantee your next interview or even allow you to land your next job offer. So the first things to take into consideration are the layout and design. This is all about how your resume looks like. Your resume layout and design are really important as they will allow you to influence where the recruiter spends more time at. For example, you might want to draw employers' attention to most relevant working experience or most relevant education by doing something as simple as dedicating more space to it on your resume. And also, you want to choose carefully your headings when highlighting your experience. What about colors? Should you use colors on your resume? The standard colors on a resume are black ink on white paper, but using more exciting colors would definitely make you stand out, especially when you're applying for more creative or design roles. However, if in doubt, play it safe. The last thing you want is to have too many distracting colors on your resume that will shift the recruiter attention from its content. For instance, on my resume, I use the colors blue for the headers and black ink on white paper for all the rest. What font should you use? The ultimate goal of your resume is for it to look clean and readable. Avoid unusual fonts. You don't want to shift the reader's focus to anything else but the content. And here are some font and sizes recommendations. Let's now get into the resume score, the template, what to include on your resume. What should be your resume structure? The first section on your resume is your personal details section. In this section, you should include your name, make it clear and large, your phone number, and a professional email address so that a recruiter can get in touch with you as soon as possible. Include your city and state. There is no need to include your full address. You can also include your LinkedIn profile or any relevant personal websites. And if you're new to LinkedIn or you just need some help on making the most out of it, check out my playlist right here. Something that is always great to include is a short personal statement, also known as a professional summary. But what are personal statements or professional summaries? This section comes right at the top of your resume or CV. And this is your elevator pitch. It's where you give the employer a statement of who you are as a person, what you do, and how can you be of value to them. Let them know how can your personality, expertise, and talents be the solution they're looking for. Personal statements or professional summaries are also very useful when you have a very specific working experience and you're sure about the career path you want to follow. Personal statements are also great when you're changing your career or your working sector, and they're a great opportunity of letting the recruiter know how is your past experience very useful for this new job position you're applying to. Last but not least, personal statements are also very handy when you don't submit a cover letter. So my advice to you is spend as much time as you can in this section and let me know in the comments below, do you have a personal statement on your resume? And if not, are you going to include one on your next optimized resume? Catchy and efficient personal statements can be tough to write. And if you need any extra help, I've included a few examples in the description box down below. You might have noticed that this personal section does not include things like a photo, age, gender, and even nationality. And this is because it is illegal to employers to ask you for such data, and even illegal for them to discriminate in these grounds. But if you live outside of the US or the UK, please check what are the requirements for your country. So what is the section that comes next? Working experience should always be the first section after your personal details. Let me get started by explaining what counts as working experience. Working experience is anything from internships, voluntary and paid work, part-time, full-time jobs, and even extracurricular activities. All this can be directly relevant for the role you're applying to, as recruiters are interested in transferable skills you have developed in the past and present. And at the end of the day, all they want to know is your direct impact and contribution on relevant past working experiences. In other words, your resume needs to reflect that you're capable of performing the role you're applying to. And you can do that by giving the employer substantial examples of when you use the skills that are required for the job you're applying to. And this is called tailoring, and recruiters highly appreciate when you do so, rather than sending them a generic resume. So when filling in your work experience section, don't forget, mention your skills, your achievements, your results. On your tasks, always indicate what was your impact, your contribution, and measure it. Recruiters love when you give them results, especially when you indicate percentage or you quantify your success with figures. Here are some examples: accelerated operations and increased sales by 57%, or even coordinated and trained a team of 60 people, or launched an online magazine ahead of schedule and created a total of 40 articles. And always use proactive and positive language. I've included a few examples in the description box down below. Let's suppose you have changed industries. How would you organize this information on your resume? In this case, you can make the headers work in your favor. You can also have a generic header called work experience, and then have like sub-headings for your legal experience, and then another one for your marketing experience. So let's now add into our next section of your resume, education. In this section, you should only include the most important part of your education, the one that is the most relevant for the job you're applying to. For instance, if the job you're applying to requires a bachelor in economics and you have one, you shouldn't forget to mention it. A question people often ask is, should I include my qualifications and university modules on my resume? And unless the employer asks you to, you don't need to include this on your resume. And if you're still studying and have little or no working experience, why not adding a section about your awards and scholarship? The following section is interests. Here you can show the recruiter what you have achieved and do outside of your education and work. What motivates and really interests you? What are your values, your personality, and what skills you might have that are transferable for the role you're applying to. The skills section. Towards the end of your resume, you can detail your familiarity with relevant skills, programs, and languages that directly relate to the position you're applying for. The skills that are relevant for the job you're applying to and you should include on your resume, they often come on the job description post. And in this video right here, I explain to you step by step and how you can find those on a job post, and even what are the clues that the recruiter gives you while they're communicating with you. A question people often ask is how important are languages and how to best demonstrate them on your resume. This will of course depend on the position you're applying to. If languages are one of the requirements for this job or even a nice to have for this role, you should definitely include them and describe your level of fluency with terms like fluent, native, basic, intermediate, and so on and so forth. References. You don't need to include this unless it is requested by the employer. References are often requested on your application form or even when you have secured a job offer, but rarely on your resume. Another question you might have is how to explain gaps of employment on your resume. It is common for recruiters to question long periods of unexplained activity on your resume. Either it is regarding your working experience or education. When we talk about extensive periods, it is something like a year. No one cares if you took a week or a month off. Come on. Rule of thumb is, it is always best to explain these gaps and be prepared to talk about them during your interview. You don't need to tell everything to the recruiter, only what is relevant for them. And if you'd like to see the resume that I submitted and landed me a job at Amazon, check out this video right here.